Golden Girls, every St. Olaf story ever told. And listen, you know it's not Golden Girls without a little cheesecake. So pause the video, go get some cheesecake or a sweet little snack, and let's check this out. Rose is one of my favorites.
It's like something that happened back in St. Olaf.
Oh, Rose, stop.
Because of that.
Rose, why is it when any one of us makes an observation, the first thing we hear from you is back in St. Olaf? Did it ever occur to you that we might be sick and tired of hearing back in St. Olaf, back in St. Olaf, back in St. Olaf?
Gee, no,
Wait, check this
I
out.
never realized. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I got this no-bake cheesecake.
Back in
We're
that
gonna try it
town whose
out.
name you're tired of. When I think of my father,
frozen,
I
though.
always picture him
'Cause I
pulling a
left it to
giant
freeze.
tuna up Main Street. Well, who doesn't, Rose? It wasn't a real tuna. It was made of chrysanthemums. It was the float in the Founders Day parade. You probably don't know this, but my hometown was founded by Heinrich von Anderdrönen.
Wait, that's why I wanted to check this out. Because I just thought it was so funny every time she would talk about her hometown. Like, Heivelslegen
The
Schlagerlager.
first man to ever can tuna in its own natural juices. Anyway, it was the 50th anniversary celebration of the founding of our town. My father was chosen to pull the float. He thought it was because he had the newest tractor, but actually it was because he was the only one small enough to fit into the mayonnaise jar costume. I'll never forget the moment we caught sight of him
Lots of questions.
turning off a sycamore onto Elm. Something must have happened to the tractor, because there he was, this lone little mayonnaise jar, dragging this giant tuna up the hill and past the reviewing stand. I don't think I've ever been prouder in my life.
That's very touching, Rose. It shouldn't be, but it is.
Oh, Rose.
That's how I feel when my
Rose, honey,
grandparents
are you
tell
all
stories
right?
about back in their day.
Booked, fingerprints, mugshots.
It just sounds like the most random
I'll
stuff.
never be able to go back to my hometown again.
Oh, honey, nobody back home's ever gonna find out about this.
Oh, yes, they will. The St. Olaf Courier-Dispatch is known for its investigative reporting.
You're right. That series they did on oat fungus was an uncompromising piece of journalism. This has to be the biggest disappointment of my life.
Oat fungus.
Yeah, and I've known some real disappointment, too, believe me.
Rose, you're not going to tell us that story about the exploding pig again, are you?
I never told you a story about an exploding pig, Dorothy. It was a peg-legged pig. Our possum was the one that exploded.
Forgive me, Rose. There have been so many possum explosions lately, it's hard to keep track.
So what was this great disappointment in your life, Rose?
Butter. I wanted to be Butter Queen. Butter Queen was our town's highest honor. From the time I was born, my folks groomed me for it. Singing lessons, dancing lessons,
Mayo and butter.
junior
and
butter pageants.
Exploding
For 16
possum.
years, my entire life revolved around butter.
You were very fortunate. So many of us wasted our youth.
When the time came for the pageant, I was incredible. I showed poise in the evening gown competition. I was brilliant in the oral butter quiz. They couldn't even trip me up with a trick margarine question. That evening, butter was spelled R-O-S-E.
Rose, you're embarrassing yourself. Please don't go on.
I have to, Dorothy. I've kept these bitter butter memories too long.
Bitter butter.
As the pageant drew to its frenzied finale, there I was, alongside the other two finalists, churning my guts out. And all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, my churn jammed. Yes. And just like that, it was over.
Bro, who else can tell a story about churning butter and make it as intense as Rose?
It was the biggest disappointment in my life. It was small consolation to find out years later there had been churn tampering involved. I wrote the fight song for our high school.
Deflategate.
Onward, St. Olaf.
The
They
Buttergate.
still sing it. Onward, St. Olaf, onward we go. Onward and onward, St. Olaf's go. Go, 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 go.
Rose, that's a... Honey, it's a very catchy tune, but who wrote those lyrics?
I did. And lyrics aren't even my strong point. I just got lucky that one
Rose
time.
and cheesecake might be the
Before we
meta.
go home to spend Christmas with our families, Why don't we have a little celebration right here?
Little
St.
crunchy
Olaf
crust?
style.
I will not drink eggnog while wearing a cast iron brassiere.
We don't do that at Christmas. We do that at Easter. Oh, I remember the first time I ever saw the ocean. It was on my honeymoon. My husband, Charlie, and I drove from Minnesota to New York. Well, actually, we were driving to California. We were young and in love, and I
That's
was
the other way,
blowing in
Rose.
Charlie's ear. He lost his sense of direction on the turnpike. We didn't care. We were just so... I love charities.
Just young
in
and
fact, I helped
spontaneous.
establish the Henry Fjord Foundation.
The Fjord Foundation.
Yes, Dorothy, you know that's the man who built the Fjord Falcon.
Henry Fjord was a saint. He dedicated his whole life to eliminating pond scum from Lake St. Olaf. His son, however, was a big disappointment. Henry Fjord Jr. He didn't want to follow in his father's footsteps. He thought scum was beneath him. Olga Fetchik was our town beautician and one of God's most unattractive creations since the aardvark. Anyway, over the years, Olga had been secretly squirreling away money for plastic surgery. Well, one day she left without telling anyone, had the surgery, and didn't return for months. Well, nobody could believe their eyes. Olga Fetchik had turned into a stunning beauty. Every man in town wanted her, and she ended up marrying St. Olaf's most handsome and eligible bachelor, dance instructor Adolf Stepp. The two of them moved back to Norway, decided to get into show business, and they became the internationally renowned Scandinavian dance team of Stepp and Fetchik.
Rose, not that I care, but since you've already gone to so much trouble, just how did having plastic surgery ruin Olga's life?
Oh, it didn't ruin her life. It almost ruined St. Olaf. I mean, after she left, the town didn't have a professional beautician for years. Women started giving each other home perms. Pretty
Don't
soon,
need a
everybody looked like
beautician.
Art Garfunkel. Husbands stopped sleeping with their wives. The population started to go down. Well, the town would have gone under if Oslo's most famous hairstylist.
These literally sound like Family Guy episodes, like just the most bizarre scenarios, like because women couldn't get their hair done properly because the beautician left, and then husbands started sleeping with their wives, and the population went down. That's literally like a Family Guy episode.
But
I would so watch a whole show just based on all these stories.
Dalsas Bogadaughter
At least the anime.
hadn't relocated his shop in St. Olaf because of our more favorable tax laws. Now, you see why I don't like plastic surgery? Oh, I just love to welcome
Just make
people
it a
to the
show.
neighborhood. In fact, back home, I used to run our town's Wilkenwagen. Oh, boy, was that fun. Whenever a new family would move into St. Olaf, we'd all hop on the tractor and ride out to the new neighbor's farm. 30 or 40 of us carrying vats of smoked fish and big pitchers of freshly squeezed potato juice. While Cousin Dak played getting to know you through the hole in his windpipe.
Tell me, Rose, did you ever accompany him through the hole in your head?
Ladies and gentlemen, our charity dance marathon is now entering its 7th hour. Let's give our contestants a great big hand.
Hi, girls. How are you holding up?
Oh, fine, just doing fine.
Terrific.
You know, this reminds me of the big dance back in St. Olaf to kick off Pretzel Week. My Uncle Gunther, after the great beer nut shortage of 29.
Foul, foul, send a judge over here. This woman is trying to put us to sleep.
Believe it or not, I never had the occasion to visit St. Olaf.
His eyebrows.
Really? You mean not even to change planes for St. Gustav?
Oh, you can't get to St. Gustav by plane, Dorothy. You have to go by toboggan.
Of course.
Of course, traveling in the summer is really rough on the old hiney.
But it's a great way to rack up lots of frequent tobogganer mileage.
I remember when I was a little girl back in St. Olaf. There was this old lady who lived up the street. She never smiled. I mean, she always looked angry. The kids said she'd kill
at a napkin.
anyone who even stepped on her property.
So listen.
We used to call her Mean Old Lady Hickenlooper.
Yeah, kids can be pretty cruel.
No, that was her name, Mean Old Lady Hickenlooper. She had to change legally because everybody called her that.
Then how come your name isn't Big Dummy?
Well, there were already 3 other people in town. But that's beside the point. One day, I got up the courage to go up to Mean Old Lady Hickenlooper and ask her why she always frowned. Well, she had been born with no smiling muscles. I pointed out that a frown is just a smile turned upside down. So from then on, whenever...
You know, it takes like hundreds of muscles in your face to frown and make angry faces, and it's like just takes like a couple to smile. Like it's way easier to
I'd go
smile
by,
than just to
she'd
frown.
stand on her head and wave. So from then on, whenever I'd go by, she'd stand on her head and wave.
That is one of the stupidest stories I've ever heard.
Well, I think I'd better be going too.
But it's still so early. I thought we could all have a game of Oogle and Floogle.
Oogle and Floogle, I'm
I
down.
don't believe I've ever heard of that.
Oh, we used to play it back in St. Olaf. It's an adult version
Hey, baby. Oogle, Floogle, and chill.
of hide and go
Oogle,
seek.
Floogle night with the boys.
And how does it differ from the children's version?
Adults play it.
Of course, I should have known.
Maybe it's time that you went out and tried to make new friends.
It's not that easy to make new friends.
It sure wasn't for the first Eskimo family that moved to St. Olaf. Especially after they sawed a hole and went salmon fishing in the middle of the local ice skating rink. And then there was the Halloween they gave all the kids whale blubber. And then there was the time they borrowed every ice tray in town to build an addition over their garage.
What was the point, Rose?
I guess after the baby came, they needed more room.
Oh my god, YouTube video idea. Building a house entirely out of ice blocks, like from an ice tray. In the Antarctic, of course.
The point of the story. Well, gradually they were able to make friends, and they ended up the most popular family in town.
But only because they went out and met people. Isn't that right, Rose?
You need
No,
hundreds
it was
of
because in the
ice
drought
trays.
of '49, their house melted and kept the town from dehydrating.
Dorothy, I thought you went to bed.
Can't sleep. I just lie awake thinking about Michael
Well, no,
and
you wouldn't build a
Lorraine.
giant house. You
Listen,
just build a
Dorothy,
little
just a
fort.
word of caution. I almost lost my Becky when I stuck my nose into her business. Now, believe me, it is not worth it.
Blanche is right. The same thing happened to the Big Botters back in St. Olaf. You see, Gretchen had this thing for Buddy, but Mr. Big Botter didn't approve. He did his best to keep them apart, but one day he came home early and he found Gretchen and Buddy in, how will I say it, a most indelicate situation.
Fair.
What did he do?
Well, he yelled at them to stop, but they wouldn't, so he turned the hose on them.
He turned the hose on her?
Well, they were in the front yard.
Wait a minute, Rose. Buddy and Gretchen weren't people, were they?
Of course not. They were dogs. Gretchen was a Dalmatian
course.
and Buddy was a Schnauzer. And Mr. Big Butter wasn't too happy when he ended up with a litter of Schnalmatians.
Mr. Big Butter. Mr. Big
You know,
Butter.
Rose, sometimes I wish somebody had turned the hose on your parents.
I remember one Mother's Day I spent with somebody else's mother. I was on my way back to
To stop them from...
St. Olaf. I was stuck in this little bus station. You know, I think I'd almost forgotten what real cold feels like. I guess I've gotten used to tropical weather.
You here all the way from Nebraska?
Miami.
Miami. That closer to Omaha or Lincoln?
Gee, it's great to be home.
Wait, is this
They
St.
told me
Olaf?
in Minneapolis that I could change buses here for St. Olaf.
That's right.
How much is it?
You want the express or the yokel?
Don't you mean local?
Yokel.
No, ma'am, I mean yokel. On the yokel, a family of first cousins plays banjo music as the passengers get on and off.
Ooh, I'll pay the
Do they
premium.
take requests?
No?
Give me the express.
You got about an hour to kill.
Oh.
Wait, we get to see some people from St.
Excuse
Olaf.
me. Are you waiting for the bus to Northern Falls?
Oh, I need a
No,
whole show
St.
about St. Olaf.
I've visited there. Lovely little town.
Oh, yes, yes, it is.
Rolling hills. Charming homes.
Yes,
Full of idiots.
yes. What?
I never saw anything like it. Must be the water.
I grew up in St. Olaf, and most of my family still lives there.
Oh, no offense, dearie. I didn't say that everyone there was an idiot. It just seemed, though, that per capita they had more than their share.
Oh, well, per capita, you're probably right. I just hate the idea of wasting time. I always have, ever since what happened to my neighbor in St. Olaf.
Rose, are you about to educate us on the evils of wasting time by telling a long, tedious St. Olaf story?
Do you know a better way?
There's a
Honestly.
point, Blanche.
It was back in 1955, and we had just moved into our first house right next door to Pigpen Johansson. That wasn't his real name. That was a nickname.
Pigpen.
No, Johansson. Anyway, Pigpen had just turned 80, and the town bylaws made him leave his job teaching driver's training at the high school.
On at 80, it was about time.
Well, it had nothing to do with his age. There was an old law on the books about driving with your shirt off.
I once got arrested for that in Chattanooga, too.
Blanche, let me ask you a question. Are you allowed to go back to Chattanooga?
Are you kidding? The sheriff still rides.
I don't believe it. This is incredible news. I've been nominated for St. Olaf Woman of the Year.
Oh, that's nice. Did the new TV guide come yet?
Blanche, you don't understand. In St. Olaf, this is the highest honor there is. Oh, I never dreamed that someone as unqualified as I am would ever
why
be
is she
nominated for
wearing a
anything
hat?
so important.
I guess Dan Quayle
never seen
really
her
opened
dressed
the
like that.
floodgates.
Last year, Gretchen Lillehammer won for running into the burning library and saving all the books.
That is amazing. How'd she do that?
She took 2 books in one hand and 1 in the other and ran like the Dickens.
Your library only has 3 books. What happens when a person's read them all?
I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Well, I knew she'd be okay. Something similar happened to me back in St. Olaf. I was injured
couldn't
during a
read 3
spirited game of Go-Wackanoggin.
Should I? Oh, what the hell? Rose, what is Go-Wackanoggin?
It's a lot like baseball, except instead of hitting a ball, you whack yourself on the head. After 10 whacks, if you're still standing, you take first base. It's usually a very low-scoring game.
This is so depressing.
We haven't had a customer in 2 hours.
Well, that's because we need promotion.
You know Blanche is right. It doesn't matter how good your product is, you have to know how to promote it. That sure was the case with Fritz Vanderhoeven, who owned the St. Olaf Motor Coach Company.
They built a car in St. Olaf?
They sure did. The Vanderhoeven rocket. What was a beauty. Fritz really had vision. Actually, he had double vision, which is why it had 8 tires. I heard a fable when I was a little girl in St. Olaf that might help. Can I tell you?
That's right, Rose. Wait till my defenses are down and take advantage of me.
Okie dokie. Once upon a time in the magical land of Flafjuvenhaven. Lived Tunder, the mediocre tiger. He He was called mediocre because there was nothing special about him. He wasn't talented, he wasn't smart, he wasn't rich, he wasn't handsome, he wasn't good at anything.
If he also wore a bad toupee, she could be describing my Stanley.
Anyway, it made Tunder's wife miserable that her husband was best known for being mediocre.
I understand.
Wait. So is she talking about a tiger?
And Marilyn Quayle feels the same way.
Or is this a pig? Or dog?
So she asked her fairy godmother to grant Tunder the ability to perform incredible feats of magic, and her wish was granted. Tunder the mediocre became Tunder the magnificent.
Guess you didn't want to change the monograms on his towels.
Well, Tunder the tiger spent so much time performing that he didn't have enough time to spend with his wife. Well, she told him that she missed the time they had together when he was just mediocre. So Tunder used his magic only once more, and that was to make his powers disappear.
And they lived happily ever after?
No, actually, she got bored and ran off with Wiseblat the Weasel. That was Tunder's old business manager. They lived happily ever after.
What happened to Tunder?
Oh, who cares, Blanche?
I don't even know how to Tunder.
Hey, once you hear happily ever after, it's over. Rose, what are those pills for?
The doctor prescribed them when I wrenched my back.
I didn't know you'd hurt your back.
Oh, it's an old farm injury from St. Olaf. Oh, I'll never forget when it happened. It was time to plant the crops, but after 17 years of pulling the plow, poor old Bessie was worn out.
Well, why didn't you just get another mule?
Well, Bessie wasn't a mule. She was a big fat lady who pulled farm plows for a living.
For God's sake! What about tractors?
Well, come on, Blanche. If she was too old to pull a plow, how could she ever pull a tractor? Anyway, we had to till the soil, so I volunteered to pull the plow, and I hurt my back. All our children were conceived on special St. Olaf holidays. Adam was conceived on the day of the Princess Pig, when they had the pig crowning. And Janella was conceived on Hay Day. That's the day we St. Olafians celebrate hay.
Rose, do you think you could wrap this up before Rebecca goes into labor?
Then it was the day of the wheat when everybody came to town dressed as sandwiches.
A hay festival might hit me.
Charlie and I forgot to put cheese
I'd go to a
between
hay
us,
festival.
and before I knew it, there was Kirsten. This reminds me of the story of Gunilla Ulfsdotter, St. Olaf's very own angel of death.
Tell it, Rose, tell it.
Really, all the way through?
All the way through, but please try to make the end come as close to the beginning as possible.
Well, Gunilla Ulfsdotter was a nurse at Cedars of St. Olaf Hospital. One night she was taking care of Sven Bjornsson, and he asked her if she would get him some more mouth moisteners and then kill him. Gunilla brought the mouth moisteners right away, but the killing thing, it seemed to go against everything she'd been taught.
You're doing beautifully, Rose.
He begged, and by her coffee break, she couldn't stand it anymore. So she pulled the plug, and he died. Well, she was racked with guilt that night. Not only had she parked her car in a doctor's spot, but she was never sure whether Sven's pleading was the pain talking or the medication talking or the guy in the next bed talking. You see, the guy in the next bed was Ingmar von Bergen, St. Olaf's meanest ventriloquist.
Rose, we are going somewhere with this, aren't we? I mean, if not, I'm going to cut out your tongue.
Yes, Sven came back to haunt Gunilla. Since then, every Tuesday night at 10, 9 Central.
You kill someone, you end up being a Rose story. Is this what you want? Rose, the point is, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like you.
Yes, and when you find
my
that
God,
one
Rose
person, you
stories.
have to try even harder to get them to like you. Did I ever tell you the story about Herta Schornborst?
Many times.
Well, then you remember he was St. Olaf's most famous shepherd. Well, Harry used to
Wait,
say...
you know what would be cool if someone made a compilation of this, took all of her stories, like you could take these videos right here, but right when she's about to go into it, like, all right, there was a man and a woman, and then it like fades to Saint Olaf. Maybe it's animated, maybe it's just like a skit. But then someone does that for all of her stories. That would be such a cool video.
You can have 100 sheep, and if one goes astray, that's the one you go look for. Especially if it's the best-looking one.
These wild stories.
Rose has got to find some new role models.
Here it is, my present from Kirsten. Oh, she always knows just what her mother wants. It's a St. Olaf snowball.
Rose, there's nothing in there but snow.
That's what St. Olaf looks like in winter.
Have you ever heard of a little town called St. Olaf?
No.
Perfect. Now, as it was told to me, and I have to admit that I wasn't listening that closely, there was this farmer named Niels Nieblung, and he had a pig named Brunhilde, and she won all the blue ribbons at all the county fairs. Well, Niels also had a daughter named Fricka, and she won red ribbons, usually as runner-up to the pig.
Does this story have a point?
You asked that at just the right time. Anyway, one April, Niels decided to breed Brunhilde. That's the pig, not the daughter.
Wait, why is
And he
Dorothy telling
chose
this story?
April because that's when pigs are at their most beautiful and desirable. Unfortunately, so was Fricka. So while Brunhilde and the pig were doing their thing, Fricka and the local pig breeder were doing theirs. God, I hope I got the names right. Anyway, when Niels heard about it, he banished Fricka from his house and his life forever.
So?
So, after a while, he lost interest in the pig's company and he ate her. And he died St. Olaf's loneliest man.
Is that the end of the story?
God, I hope so.
Rose, no encyclopedia salesman lugs around 26 volumes door
So she had to like translate a story for Rose there, like.
to door.
Are you kidding? In St. Olaf, they carry 52.
Why?
Balance.
Rose, why don't they just carry 13 in each hand?
Excuse me, I have to make a phone call.
I knew I never should have gotten involved in this mother-daughter pageant. I just wish I'd known how to say no to it.
I know what you mean. I should have said no to the Miss St. Olaf beauty pageant. It was 1951.
See, that'd be a great
That was the
episode.
first year they let humans enter, too.
Oh my God, St. Olaf beauty pageant, but it's only for animals, and it's the first year that humans enter. This has 1,600 calories, by the way. I was going to eat the
evening
whole
gown
thing.
and log rolling competition.
My stomach is already.
People don't realize how hard it is to roll a log
See,
when you're
that's a
wearing
lot
an
of
evening
sugar.
gown. And the shocker is I lost out on the intelligence quiz.
Rose, hand me that newspaper.
No, you're gonna hit me with it.
No, I won't.
You promise?
I promise.
I haven't been this scared since 1952, when St. Olaf's most active volcano threatened to erupt. Well, luckily, there were some druid priests who were in town for the opening of Stonehenge.
It's like, okay, so she has St. Olaf stories about a volcano, but then also about being covered in snow.
Land.
And then probably one near an ocean. Like, where is this place?
They said they could stop
What
it
is it?
if they could sacrifice the town's dumbest virgin.
Jesus.
I don't know why I raised my hand. It must have just been the excitement of the moment. But they said the only way to prevent the eruption was for me to crawl through their legs up the volcano while they gave me my birthday wax. Well, and you're not going to believe this. It turns out they weren't druid priests at all. Just a bunch of Shriners looking for a good time.
It's a scary story, Rose.
This
Please
is
tell a story
terrible. I
about
was
her
raised
knitting.
to hate communists. I remember in the early 50s when McCarthy came to St. Olaf to speak in the town square. I was never so moved by a public speaker, although some people thought he was a puppet for the right wing. No, wait, that was Charlie McCarthy.
I'd have put money on that.
But still, St. Olaf's town motto was better Ned than Red. Ned was sort of the town idiot.
Oh.
When, on your days off?
There was a time in my life when I wanted to leave St. Olaf. I just didn't feel it was big enough for me. I had my eye on the Great White Way. So I went to St.
Olaf, that was
Gustav,
probably an official
the
title.
city that never naps. That first night, I walked around in amazement. They had their own photomat. Of course, it wasn't as large as the photomats you see today. Now, here's the scary part. Suddenly, I realized I was this frightened little girl alone in the big city. It started to rain, and I stood there in the middle of the town square and cried. There I was, drenched. And someone yelled out, "Hey, don't you have enough sense to come in out of the rain?" But then it hit me. When I went home to St. Olaf, I passed on this bit of street smart savvy. The next thing you know, in St. Olaf, the in thing was coming in out of the rain. I was the town celebrity until the phrase, "watch out for that tractor," caught on. Back in St. Olaf,
Watch out for that tractor.
there was a shepherd boy who tended his flock on the hill above the town. A wolf kept coming down and stealing his sheep, but the boy never caught him doing it. Because he never saw it happening, he became known around St. Olaf as the boy who didn't cry wolf.
Oh my God.
Anyway, one day the townspeople heard the boy on the hill yelling, "Wolf, wolf!" Well, they all figured if the boy never cried wolf when the wolf was there, if he yelled wolf now, it stood to reason the wolf wasn't there.
No, boys.
Boy, nothing gets by
so
you
everyone
people.
knew there was a wolf, but the boy.
Damn, the wolf wasn't there. Boy, nothing gets by you people. Damn straight, it was a bear.
Oh.
A huge, ferocious grizzly bear. What happened to the boy? He became known as the boy who cried continuously.
You know, Rose, we have a special section set aside for local artists. When you finish the series, maybe we can hang them in the museum.
Wow, hanging in the museum? Well, none of my relatives ever hung in a museum. Oh, wait, Uncle Gustav. Well, actually, he hung in the barn. But that was only when he discovered his horse had defeated him for water commissioner.
Now, our records show that you come from a town called St. Olaf. You want to tell me about it? Mrs. Dylan, are you all right?
It's just that nobody's ever asked before. Well, I don't get it. They don't seem to have anything in common.
Did you just go on a tangent?
This is just like that old saying, you know, opposites attract.
Oh, that's very true. Back in St. Olaf, Ollie Knudensprinkle and his wife Bridget were opposites in every way. I mean, he was fat, she was thin. He was neat, she was sloppy. He was tall, she was short. He was cheap, she was extravagant. He was
Opposites. We get the picture.
Well, anyway, I'll never forget the time they sang at our annual talent show, right after the herring juggling act.
You mean to tell me that somebody actually juggled herring?
No, it was the herring who did the juggling.
I hate you.
Then there was the time Hans Eriksson wanted to take an elk to the prom. The whole town was divided on that one. Hi, Blanche.
Rose, you know all that stuff you sold me, that St. Olaf memorabilia and the things from your childhood?
A lifetime of memories.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I came across these as I was tossing that junk in the dumpster.
That's a St. Olaf war bond. Charlie bought us those in '42. I didn't realize I still had those.
Well, now, wait a minute. Are you telling me that St. Olaf printed its own war bonds?
Yes. Oh, we were very patriotic. In late '42, we wanted to fund the development of a top-secret weapon that we were sure would end the war. Attack cows.
Take me now, Lord.
We had a gigantic black hole back in St. Olaf.
Oh, God.
On Main Street, right in front of the courthouse, where Charlie and I got our marriage license and our permit to have kids. Oh, it was a lovely hole. Everybody in town would stand around and look in it.
And they say Hollywood is the entertainment capital of the world.
Well, we didn't just look in it. Sometimes we'd point, too.
It's official. I hate her.
That reminds me of a story about St. Olaf's most famous matchmaker.
Please, Rose. Spare me the endless, inane details of how Heidi Flugen-Dugel-Gergenplatz successfully matched a bull with a duck.
That's what I mean.
And how their daughter was a bull duck who ran a small tattoo parlor in Congo.
The last time I had courage, I confronted Lucan Ulfnooner, St. Olaf's moodiest plastic surgeon.
Thank you very much, Rose. That was a great story.
Nice try, Dorothy. Anyway, Dr. Ulfnooner did some work on my mom, and do you know who she came out looking like? Raymond Massey.
Rose, that's terrible.
Well, that's what I thought when I accused the guy of malpractice and ruined his business. Unfortunately, little did I know.
Know what, Rose?
That was the look she was going for. Someone was actually able to deceive me once.
You don't say.
Do tell, Rose.
St. Olaf's most famous OBMAG.
What's that?
Obstetrician magician. The amazing Shapiro. He delivered Bridget. But it was so confusing. It's a girl.
Oh, an obstetrician magician, a baby delivering magician.
Now it's a dove. Now it's a glass of milk. I don't know how he got her in that deck of cards. But there she was, right after the King of Hearts. Is this your baby? I just got a special delivery letter from St. Olaf. Uh-oh. It's from the Department of Water and Coffee.
Coffee?
No, thanks. It makes me jumpy.
Rose, what does the letter say?
You read it, Dorothy. I need both hands to cover my ears in case it's bad news.
Dear St. Olafian, I'm afraid there's bad news.
What?
There's a drought in St. Olaf which threatens the crops.
Oh, no. I better send water.
Please do not send water. We have found that envelopes leak. Until the rains come, we ask that all citizens be celibate, except for Ulf, the Umbrella King. He has suffered enough.
I remember back in St. Olaf.
Hold it right there, Will Rogers. None of us is in the mood to hear one of those St. Olaf stories.
Well, then here's one against your will. But to show you I'm a good sport, I'll get right to the part that'll make Blanche feel better. Anyway. Everybody in the village hated Ingmar. So we grabbed our torches and climbed the hill to his castle and pounded on the great oak door, but there was no answer. So we got a ladder and we climbed up to the window and we peeked in, and to our relief, there was Ingmar lying on the... Oh, wait a minute, he was dead. I never got to go to the junior prom in St. Olaf. How come? It was just for people named Junior. Oh, I remember back in St. Olaf, during a tornado, my mother left the storm cellar to find Toto. Her constant companion and favorite cow.
Why are we nice to her?
The point is, when Mother went out in the storm, she got quite a bump on her head. For the rest of her days, she kept trying to get that cow in the little basket on the front of her bicycle. I am so mad. I just got a letter from back home all about my high school reunion. I didn't know I was going to miss such a good time. Listen to this. Dear Rose, you sure did miss a good time. The precision drill team wasn't the same without you. We could only spell out St. Olaf.
The Golden Girls.
Get the fuck about my phone with your hating ass. I'm the type to drop a 50 ball and make it back. All this swag I got is custom, you can't pay for that.